My name's Walter Hayes, 63, retired builder. For most of my life, I believed that if you built something strong enough, houses, tables, families, it would last. But that belief ended the night my son-in-law set a plastic plate on the floor for me. It was Thanksgiving, the first one since my wife passed. My daughter Elena had invited me to dinner at 5. I brought a store-bought pie and a small hope that family could still feel like family. 3 unfamiliar cars were already in my driveway when I arrived. Strangers' laughter came through the windows. When I knocked, the man who'd married my daughter opened the door. Brandon Cole, tall, smug, the kind of man who checks his reflection in the window before he speaks. "You're late," he said. "It's 5 o'clock, I replied. He glanced over his shoulder, pretending to think. "We're already eating. Guess you missed the start." He stepped aside just enough for me to enter. Inside my own house looked like someone else's life. 9 young people filled the dining room, all holding wine glasses over the table I'd refinished that spring. The smell of roasted turkey and cinnamon rolls should have felt like home. Instead, it felt like a stage set for someone else's show. Elena came from the kitchen with a bowl in her hands. She looked beautiful and tired. "Hi, Dad," she said softly. Her eyes flicked away before mine could settle on them. Brandon's shoulder brushed mine as he moved past. "We're kind of tight on space," he said. "Didn't know you were still coming." The invitation said 5, I repeated. I scanned the table. Every chair was taken, every place already set. A woman I didn't know whispered something. Another laughed. The sound cut sharper than it should have. I tried to keep my voice even. "Where should I sit?" Brandon tilted his head, playing thoughtful. "That's a good question," he said, letting the pause hang for effect. Then he snapped his fingers. "Actually, I've got the perfect spot." He disappeared into the kitchen. The only sound was the clatter of a cabinet and the scrape of something plastic. Elena stood frozen still, holding that bowl, her knuckles white. Our eyes met for 1 second before she looked down. She knew. Brandon came back carrying a white disposable plate, the kind you buy in bulk for a picnic. He squatted down near the doorway, right where a doormat should go, and set it on the hardwood I'd installed with my own hands. He spooned onto it the worst pieces, dry turkey, cold stuffing, congealed gravy. Then he straightened, smiling. "Right there works for you," he said. For a second, no one breathed. Then one of the guests gave a nervous laugh that died in their throat. "What are you doing?" I asked quietly. "Giving you exactly what you deserve," Brandon said. "You always said you weren't picky." Another man chuckled, then looked down fast when he saw my face. Elena still hadn't moved, still staring at the table, gripping the bowl so hard her fingers trembled. That silence from her, that quiet acceptance, hurt more than anything Brandon could have said. I looked at the plastic plate, then at the table I'd built, at the walls I'd painted, at the family I thought I still had. The house hummed around me with familiar noises, the refrigerator, the furnace, ordinary sounds that made the moment more surreal. Old Walter would have cracked a joke, said something about eating in the truck, anything to keep peace. But something in me changed right there. Something heavy settled into place, a cold kind of clarity. I didn't say a word. I just turned and walked out. Behind me, chairs scraped, someone coughed, and then the laughter started again, relieved, almost cheerful. I stepped onto the porch and closed the door behind me. The air bit cold. Through the window I could see them eating, pouring wine, passing dishes. My daughter smiled at something Brandon said. He leaned back proud like a man who'd won something. I got in my truck and sat there for a long moment before starting the engine. My hands were steady on the wheel. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was empty, hollow in the place where disappointment turns into decision. When I finally drove home, I didn't remember the road, only the headlights sliding across the windshield. At my apartment, I stood in the kitchen with my keys still in hand. The grocery bag with my own little Thanksgiving dinner sat untouched on the counter, roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce. I sat at the table, opened my laptop, and began typing numbers. 4 years ago, Elena and Brandon had temporarily moved into my rental house after his tech business failed. Temporary had become permanent. I never asked for rent. Grief had made me soft. Loneliness had made me generous. I told myself I was helping them rebuild. Now I opened my bank records. 4 years at $1,500 a month, $72,000 in lost rent. Then the investment in Brandon's startup, $80,000, backed by a notarized promissory note I still had in my files. Add the smaller emergencies, credit cards, car repairs, doctor bills, another $15,000. I added the totals and stared at the number $175,000. I walked to my filing cabinet and pulled the folder marked Cole Investments. The note was still there, signed, dated, notarized. Another folder held the property deed. My name, only mine. Every tax, every repair, every insurance payment, all mine. When my phone buzzed, Elena's name filled the screen. I let it ring out. The voicemail light blinked, but I didn't play it. I searched online eviction law, no lease, Texas. The words blurred together, but the meaning was clear: 30-day notice, certified mail. Legal. Simple. Then another search: promissory note enforcement. 4-year limit on written contracts, still valid. I sat back, pen in hand, writing steps like I used to list materials for a job. Gather documents. Draft notice to vacate. File for eviction after 30 days. Send demand letter for $80,000. Keep records. Don't argue. Don't explain. By the time dawn slid through the blinds, my decision was set. I'd spent years avoiding conflict, telling myself that keeping peace was love. But peace built on silence isn't peace. It's surrender. Brandon had made a calculation. He thought age meant weakness. He thought I wouldn't fight back because I was afraid of losing my daughter. He was wrong. I showered, shaved, and put on pressed khakis and a button-down. The man in the mirror looked tired but sure. At 6:15, I called Marcus Bell, the attorney who'd handled paperwork for my small construction business years ago. He answered on the third ring. Walter. "You all right? I need an emergency meeting this morning," I said. He hesitated. "It's the day after Thanksgiving, I know," I said. 9 a.m., work for you." A pause. Bring everything, he said finally. At 9, I was in his office sliding the deed, the note, and the bank statements across his desk. He looked through them quietly, reading fast. "No lease," he asked. "No rent," I said. 4 years. He nodded slowly. "You've got clear title, full records, notarized loan. This is straightforward. 30-day notice, then eviction. The loan can be handled separately in civil court." "I don't want to fight," I said. "Just what's fair." He looked up. "Fair takes paperwork. And patience." "Patience I have," I said. "Fear I don't." When I walked out of his office into the cold, bright morning, I pulled out my phone and typed a short message to Elena. "You'll receive legal documents by Monday. Please read them carefully before contacting me." I stared at it for a long second, then hit send. For 30 years, I'd built houses for other people. That morning, I started rebuilding myself. Monday morning came sharp and cold. I stood in line at the post office holding 2 envelopes, one labeled Notice to Vacate, the other Demand for Repayment. Both certified, both stamped by the hand of a man who'd stopped apologizing for existing. By noon, they were on their way to the house I still legally owned. Marcus had helped me draft them with precision. 30 days, he said. No emotional language, no accusations. Just facts. He was right. Facts were my best armor. That night, my phone lit up with missed calls from Elena. No voicemail this time, just silence stretching across the hours. By the 3rd day, I stopped checking. Instead, I focused on the one thing Brandon never understood: documentation. I gathered receipts, taxes, photos of repairs. Every nail, every coat of paint, every tax bill was in my name. If this was war, I was building my fortress from paper. On Thursday, the call finally came. Dad, Elena's voice trembled. "Please, we need to talk." I kept my tone calm. "I sent legal notice. You'll have time to move." "You can't mean that," she said, her words cracking like thin ice. "Leonard's sorry, Brandon. He didn't mean what he did. It was a joke that went too far." "I was there," I said quietly. "He planned it. You knew." Her breath hitched. "He gets angry, Dad. You don't know how it is. I just didn't want a scene." "You already had one," I said. "You just didn't want to stop it." She started crying. The kind of crying that used to undo me, but not now. "Elena," I said softly, You made a choice that night. Now I'm making mine. You have 30 days. She hung up without another word. By the weekend, my phone buzzed again, but this time with notifications. A friend from church texted a screenshot. Is this about you? It was a Facebook post from Brandon, long and dramatic, full of half-truths. My father-in-law is evicting us right before Christmas. My wife's heartbroken. We took care of him after his wife died, and now he's throwing us into the street. Within hours, it had hundreds of reactions. Sympathy flooded the comments. How could he do that? Some people forget family when they get old. I felt something colder than anger clarity. Brandon was trying to frame the story before the truth surfaced. He wanted pity before justice. I called Marcus. He's making it public, I said. He sighed. Do not respond. Let him dig his own hole. Everything you say online can be twisted, so I just let him lie. For now. The court listens to documents, not comments. I followed his advice. I said nothing. I let the storm spin without feeding it. The following week, my bookkeeper, Deborah, called. She'd been with my construction business for 15 years, the kind of woman who balanced numbers the way a surgeon handles scalpels. Walter, I need to show you something, she said. It might be important. When I arrived, she had her computer open, files ready. Remember when Brandon said he could help with marketing last year? You gave him limited email access. Yes, I said. Why? She turned the screen toward me. He used your business identity to take client deposits. 3 of them, totaling $35,000. She clicked through emails. There it was, his name under Partner Relations, Hayes Construction, using my logo, my letterhead, my signature block. He'd collected deposits, then disappeared. I stared at the monitor. Why didn't these people call me? They tried. He told them you were retired. Said he'd taken over. Deborah clicked another file. It gets worse. Look at this. It was a county property record, a gift deed transfer filed 9 months ago, attempting to move my house into Brandon's name. My signature sat neatly at the bottom, but the notary seal was fake. Why wasn't this processed, I asked? The clerk caught the false notary number, flagged it, sent a letter to the house address. You never saw it because it went straight to him. I sat in stunned silence. He hadn't just humiliated me. He'd tried to steal everything. Within an hour, I was back in Marcus's office with the evidence stacked in a folder. He flipped through the documents, his jaw tightening. This isn't just civil anymore, he said. This is fraud, forgery, wire theft. All felonies. What do? We file a police report today. He drafted it himself, each section numbered, each document labeled. Emails, bank transfers, forged, deed notary comparison, client statements. As he worked, I realized Brandon's game destroy my reputation first, so when the truth surfaced, no one would believe me. He'd underestimated one thing. I kept records, always had. The police station smelled of burnt coffee and floor cleaner. I sat across from Detective Sarah Morrison, mid-40s, sharp-eyed. Mr. Hayes, start from the beginning, she said, flipping open a notebook. I handed her the folders. Everything's in there. Emails, client, payments, forgery attempt. She spent an hour reviewing, asking measured questions. When I finished, she nodded. We'll contact the victims for statements. This is serious. He used your company identity for theft. It's not just a family matter anymore. Her words landed like a nail finally driven flush. Not just a family matter. That evening when I got home, the street outside my apartment glowed with Christmas lights. Families setting up trees, kids laughing. I sat by the window, phone in hand, waiting for something, anger, satisfaction, anything. But all I felt was stillness. I poured a glass of water and whispered to myself, you started this quietly. You'll finish it the same way. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. Marcus. The detective filed the case, he said. They'll interview him within the week. Also, your eviction hearing is scheduled for next month. I'll handle both fronts. I thanked him. Then before hanging up, he asked Walter, are you sure you're ready for what comes next? I thought about Thanksgiving night, the plastic plate, the laughter, my daughter looking away. Yes, I said. I've been ready since he put that plate on the floor. That night, I went to bed early. I didn't sleep much, but I didn't replay the humiliation anymore. The memory had turned into something else, a reminder of where this all started. They thought they'd silenced me, but silence was the sharpest weapon I had. The next day, the phone rang again. It was Elena, voice trembling. Dad, the police called. They want to talk to Brandon about... Fraud. Did you report him? Yes, I said simply. She was quiet for a long time. You're trying to destroy him. No, I said. He already did that himself. That night, I looked over the stacks of files on my desk receipts, contracts, statements, photos. I didn't see paperwork. I saw years of work proof that my life still had structure and meaning. I turned off the lamp, stared out the window at the cold December sky, and realized something revenge wasn't the point anymore. It was about balance, about proving that truth, no matter how late it arrives, still matters. And for the first time in months, I slept. The certified letter showed as delivered at 9:47 a.m. Brandon's signature sprawled across the receipt. 15 minutes later, he called. Is this a joke? An eviction notice? It's legal, I said. You have 30 days. You're throwing your own daughter out over a dinner. I'm reclaiming what's mine. He laughed, short and nervous. You can't do this. I already did, I said. Then I hung up. That afternoon, Elena called. Her voice shook. Dad, please, don't do this. You watched him humiliate me. I was scared. You should have been brave. I can't afford to move, she whispered. You and Brandon are adults. You'll figure it out. She cried, but I kept my voice level. For the first time, guilt didn't win. 2 days later, my phone buzzed nonstop. Brandon had gone public. My father-in-law is evicting us before Christmas. We cared for him after his wife died. Now we're being abandoned. Hundreds of sympathetic comments followed. Old neighbors, clients, even a pastor I knew. The story was perfectly designed, sad photos, half-truths, emotional bait. I called Marcus. Do I respond? No, he said. Let him drown in his own words. So I stayed silent. Deborah, my bookkeeper, didn't. The next morning, she phoned voice tight. You better come in. She had her computer open when I arrived. Remember when Brandon helped with marketing look? On screen were emails from Brandon Hayes Partner Relations using my company logo and signature block. He collected deposits from clients, she said. 35,000 total. None of the work was done. My stomach turned. Why didn't they contact me? They did. He told them you'd retired. She clicked another file, a county record gift deed transfer moving my property to Brandon's name, my signature forged, the notary stamp fake. The clerk caught it, Deborah said. They sent a warning letter to the house. He must have intercepted it. By evening, Marcus had everything in a folder. Wire fraud, forgery, theft. All felonies, he said. We're filing a police report tonight. The station smelled of burnt coffee. Detective Morrison listened methodical while we laid out evidence, the emails, the deed client statements. We'll verify the victims, she said. This isn't family drama anymore. It's criminal. I left feeling oddly steady. Facts were stronger than fury. Weeks passed. The eviction hearing was set for March, but the fraud investigation moved faster. Brandon denied everything online, called me senile. The police subpoenaed his emails. The IP address matched his home network. When Marcus told me, he added, the judge will consolidate the hearings, civil and criminal preliminary. Good, I said, let him face it all at once. The courthouse hallway smelled like polish and old wood. Brandon stood with his lawyer suit too tight, smile too soft. Elena sat apart, hands folded in her lap. When he touched her shoulder, she flinched. Inside, Judge Rhodes called our case. Marcus built it like a house deed, my name only. Taxes, my payments, utilities, my accounts. No lease, no rent, 4 years of free occupancy worth $72,000. A promissory note for $80,000, signed and notarized. He didn't raise his voice. He just stacked proof until silence did the talking. Brandon's lawyer tried the sympathy angle. My clients provided companionship after Mr. Hayes' loss. This eviction is retaliation. The judge interrupted. Do you have documents showing ownership or rent paid? He fumbled. Family doesn't always use paperwork. Courts do, she said. Then Brandon took the stand. He spoke smoothly at first, how he maintained the property, how he helped me heal. But Marcus pressed for receipts, dates vendors. None existed. Finally, Marcus slid a copy of the forged deed across the table. Is this your signature? Mr. Cole Brandon hesitated. Did you submit this transfer? I don't recall. Then you won't mind if the court infers what your memory omits. Marcus said. The judge allowed the fraud evidence for credibility. Brandon's attorney invoked the Fifth Amendment. The judge noted she could draw conclusions from silence. We broke for recess. In the hall, Brandon cornered Elena near the water fountain. "You need to testify for me," he hissed. "Tell her how your father abandoned us." "I saw the emails," she said. "Those were business misunderstandings. You forged his signature. To protect you," he grabbed her arm. "You're pathetic, just like him." Her voice shook but didn't break. "You meant that." She pulled free and walked away. When court resumed, she sat in the gallery not beside him. Brandon's lawyer whispered frantically. He ignored him. Judge Rhodes read her decision slowly. "Ownership is undisputed. No lease, no rent. Occupants must vacate within 14 days. She paused, looked at Brandon. "Attempts to transfer property by fraudulent means severely damage credibility. Mr. Cole, you and Mrs. Cole have no lawful right to remain." The gavel fell one sharp sound final as a hammer strike. Outside, Brandon stormed past us without looking back. Elena stayed on the bench, tears running silent. "You won," she said. "The court ruled fairly," I answered. "Winning isn't the same thing," she nodded. "He called me pathetic. I believed him for years. You don't anymore." "No," she said, "I don't." I handed her a small card with an address on the back. "A short-term rental I own. Stay there a month. No rent." She hesitated, then took it. "Thank you." When she looked up, I saw my daughter again, not his wife, not his defender, just Elena. Marcus walked over. "The DA's office will file criminal charges next. Forgery and wire fraud stick. He's already called a plea meeting." I watched the courthouse doors swing closed behind Brandon. "He won't walk away clean," I said. That evening, the house felt strange mine again, but scarred. Holes in the walls, carpet-ripped cabinet doors hanging loose. Brandon's final gesture of spite. I took photos for insurance, then found a note on the floor addressed to Elena. "You chose him. You'll regret it." I snapped another picture and sent it to Marcus. 2 days later, the district attorney confirmed formal charges: wire fraud, forgery, theft by deception. Elena texted, "They called him in for questioning. He looks terrified." I didn't reply. Some lessons teach themselves. The hearing that followed was short. Brandon's attorney argued stress, misunderstanding, emotional strain. The judge wasn't interested. Bail was set. The case would proceed to trial. When I stepped out of the courthouse into sunlight, Marcus said, "You realize he's finished. Felony charges. He can't borrow, can't run a business. Everything he built on your name collapses." "I didn't want destruction," I said. "Just truth." He nodded. Sometimes they're the same thing. That night I walked through my repaired kitchen quiet, except for the clock ticking. I made coffee, sat down, and finally let myself breathe. The plastic plate from Thanksgiving still lay in a drawer. I took it outside, dropped it in the trash, and closed the lid. The sound it made was ordinary, like any piece of garbage hitting the bottom. That's all it ever was. For the first time in months, I didn't see shame when I looked at that house. I saw boundaries rebuilt one document at a time. Brandon's arrest didn't make headlines, but word spread fast enough. In a small town, silence travels louder than sound. By the time he posted bail, everyone already knew. Clients withdrew. His business went dark overnight. 2 weeks after the court order, a deputy accompanied me to the property. Brandon's truck was gone. The front door hung open. Inside, looked like a storm had passed through holes in drywall cabinets, yanked loose drawers emptied onto the floor. I took photos for insurance. Elena stood by the kitchen island, pale arms crossed. "He said it was your fault," she murmured. "People like him always need someone to blame." She ran a hand through her hair. "He broke things because he couldn't break you." We found a single note on the counter. "Enjoy your empty house." Beneath it, his wedding ring. She stared at it for a long time before whispering, "It never meant what I thought." I didn't respond. We changed the locks that day. 3 days later, the district attorney confirmed the charges: wire fraud, forgery, and theft by deception. Potential sentence up to 5 years. Brandon's lawyer tried to frame it as a business misunderstanding. The evidence was too clean, too thorough. Elena met with the DA herself. When she came back, she looked drained but lighter. He blamed me for cooperating, she said. Told them I was brainwashed. Truth scares liars, I said. That night I found her sitting in her car outside my place. I filed for divorce, she said. I thought I'd feel broken. I just feel free. The criminal trial began in late spring. I sat behind the prosecution's table while Brandon took the stand. His lawyer painted him as a dreamer, a man undone by pressure. But when the prosecutor displayed his forged deed on the big screen and the clerk testified how the notary number didn't exist, the room went still. Then came Deborah, calm and precise. She explained how he rerouted client deposits into his own account matching timestamps and IP addresses. Each answer nailed another plank into his story's coffin. When my turn came, I spoke simply. He lived in my home for 4 years rent-free. I gave him a loan because I believed in him. He repaid me by trying to steal my name. Brandon wouldn't meet my eyes. His jaw clenched. He looked less like a mastermind and more like a man realizing the mirror had cracked. After closing arguments, the judge recessed for the afternoon. Outside, reporters from local outlets waited by the steps. One asked Mr. Hayes, "Do you regret pressing charges against family?" I stopped, looked at her, and said, "He stopped being family the moment he forged my name." Then I walked on. The verdict came the next day, guilty on all counts. Sentence 5 years suspended restitution of $115,000, 500 hours, community service probation, and financial monitoring. He'd avoided prison, but not shame. Elena cried quietly when the judge read the conditions. "He'll have to work to pay you back," she said. "He'll have to live with the truth," I replied. When we left the courthouse, spring sunlight cut through the clouds. She turned to me. "You could have ruined him completely." "I didn't have to," I said. "He did it himself." Over the next months, she rented a small apartment nearby and started working part-time in bookkeeping. Therapy followed. I helped her move, but we both knew this time she'd build her own foundation. I spent my evenings repairing the house, patching walls, repainting rooms, replacing what he'd broken. One day, while cleaning the attic, I found a box labeled Mom's Things. Inside were photos, her handwriting, her old ring. I left it on the kitchen table for Elena. When she saw it, she cried, but this time it wasn't the hollow kind. "This place feels different," she said. "It's honest again," I replied. By late summer, life had found rhythm. Brandon's restitution payments came monthly through the court. Deborah balanced the books. The noise of gossip faded. One afternoon, I got a letter, no return address, just my name. Inside was a single line in shaky handwriting, "You think you won, but you lost your family." No signature, but I didn't need one. I burned it in the sink, watched the paper curl to ash, and felt nothing. Elena visited that evening with coffee and 2 mugs. "He sent something, didn't he?" "Probably his last attempt to matter," I said. She smiled faintly. "Then let's make it the last time we talk about him." We drank in silence, the kind that doesn't ache. A month later, I attended the County Builders Conference, first time since retirement. During a panel, someone asked about managing trust in partnerships. I told them, keep records, keep receipts, but most of all, keep your boundaries. Kindness without limits becomes a loan you'll never collect. The room went quiet. Afterward, a young contractor shook my hand. "That's the best advice I've heard all year," he said. Driving home, I realized something simple. I'd stopped feeling angry. The anger had served its purpose. It built a wall between me and chaos. Now it could rest. At home, I unlocked the front door, the new brass handle gleaming. The air smelled of fresh paint and cedar. On the kitchen counter sat one of the last reminders from that winter, a single plastic plate. I turned it over once, smiled at the irony, and dropped it into the trash. Justice hadn't brought joy. It had brought balance, and balance, I decided, was enough. By autumn, life finally went still. The hearings ended, the debt plan approved, and the house stood whole again. The mornings were simple now. Coffee, sunlight through clean windows, quiet. Elena came by on weekends, calmer, stronger. We'd sit on the porch and talk about small things, her new job, a recipe she liked, the maple tree I'd planted in the yard. "It's strange," she said once. "Peace feels heavy at first, then light." "That's how you know it's real," I said. Brandon was gone from town. His restitution payments arrived like clockwork numbers without emotion. No apology, just obligation. I didn't need more. The law had done what feelings couldn't. I spent my days rebuilding what he'd torn apart, patching walls, replacing doors, fixing the porch railing he'd kicked in. Work felt different now, cleaner. Each nail I set was another piece of myself coming back together. In December, Elena handed me a small box. Inside was a leather notebook. "Write what you learned," she said. That night, I wrote one line: "Boundaries save more families than forgiveness ever could." Spring brought color to the yard. The maple tree bloomed red right where his truck once sat. I stood beside it and thought the roots were new, but the ground was the same. Renewal isn't about forgetting, it's about claiming space again. A week later, a letter arrived from him. Just a short apology folded around a check. I read it once, burned it in the sink, and whispered, "We're done." Now when I lock the door each night, the silence feels different, not lonely, just honest. The past is finished, the debts are settled, and the house stands solid. Justice didn't make me happy, it made me free. And sometimes that's all a man really needs. Thank you for listening to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, leave a comment below to share your thoughts on what happened. Take care.